Alright. So I was just on Twitter for a little bit, and I noticed that Hank Green has apparently, or the Green Brothers rather, put out a VidCon debrief, and I thought it was interesting. And I don't care about your updates, VidCon, because we're going to read about the debrief that you gave and just give my response to it. So if you're interested in hearing that kind of thing, hopefully all the audio is going properly here. We're having a lot of fun. You know, all the usual crap. Anyway, hashtag garbage human. That's what we all are, right? I mean, that's what we're here to talk about. We're not talking about the Tariq Nasheed stuff, because Tariq's a fucking idiot. Nothing else needs to be said about him. We're talking about the incident between Anita Sarkeesian and Sargon of Akkad, in which Anita was running a panel. You can find videos of it. But basically, someone asks her a question, and then she says, yeah, and then there's Sargon, he's a shithead, he's a garbage human. And as we'll see here, VidCon acknowledges, that is to say Hank Green acknowledges, that this does indeed violate the terms, but he doesn't kick Anita out. Because she is a woman, apparently. And women cannot harass men or something. Hank should know better than this, but I think the SJW bug's kind of bitten him really hard. I wouldn't be surprised if he becomes like Steve Shives one of these days and just kind of blocks everyone. But then again, Steve Shive doesn't run one of the biggest conventions in the world. So, you know, whatever. So the VidCon debrief. With the benefit of a couple days, why did you need a couple days to decide this? Is really the question. You didn't need any time at all, actually, in my opinion. But it's your convention. I don't have to attend it, I guess. I'm an outsider looking in. That's fair enough, I suppose. But then again, all the facts are right there, and you can see them yourself. Here are two things we being who? Just you, the people that are running the show? No, that's not actually true, because you'll see that they actually get Anita's voice in on it too. But not Carl's. Not Sargon's. But anyway, let's jump right into it. We wanted to talk about it. Okay, then let's talk about it. I'm a YouTube creator. I didn't go to VidCon this year, because I'm broke and I live 2/3 of the country away. But, you know, that's not the point. Creators getting kicked out. Yeah, this one was probably fair to some degree. I mean, it would be very simple for the creators, if they had the VidCon passes and they were legit, to just, you know, show a receipt or something. I don't know how it works, but I reckon there's a receipt. And if they claim that they're fake passes, an email would probably sort that out. But yeah. One of the hardest parts of running VidCon is not being able to feature every creator who deserves it. Yeah, I mean, not really. That's not hard. You pick them at random, or you get a venue big enough to host enough content that every creator can get one. Poisoning the Well stopped by and says, "It sucks that they made this call, but for us at VidCon was amazing." I also can't read today in other news. But yeah, VidCon does look like a lot of fun. I'm not negging on any of that. I'm just discussing this because the second half of this really kind of irks me. And Poisoning the Well also says, well, why don't I just do this? Because then I can probably, I don't know, where... Oh, it went away. Where is it? Okay, let's remove that. Sure. Plus... Window capture. Okay, that's fine. Nope, I want the other one. Let's put that one, because now you guys can see it too. The whole two of you that are here. And like Poisoning the Well says, and that first part is legit. Yeah, I completely agree. That does seem to be correct. Logan Paul, well, I mean, yeah, I saw he was involved, and I figured he was just starting shit, because that's what he does. Could have gotten someone killed. Yeah, he could have. I don't think he has a conscience, though. So, you know, I don't think he even cares that people could die because he wants to give away a few bucks because he's a rich guy who wants to watch people scramble over money. He seems like one of the worst kind of people. I'm not surprised that Jake Paul is his brother, honestly. It actually overran the shitlord meetup. That's too bad, because the shitlords actually seem like the good, reasonable, rational people here. What a world we live in. They just aren't on our radar because we were looking in the wrong place. They're very popular very recently. Yeah, that's fair. Why does it do this? Sorry, I like to highlight things when I'm reading them, but some people like to use meta tags and then make it very hard to do that. Because some of us are old-fashioned and like to highlight things we read. But, you know, that's kind of annoying when I do this and then you give me 5 options for things to do. VidCon, please do not do that. They told us that they couldn't come after we asked them to, but then the plans changed and they arrived without telling us. Yeah, that's kind of crappy too. I mean, to be fair, they should tell VidCon about it. Again, I don't have much issue with the first portion here. We just ran out of space. Yeah, fair enough. Although, arguably, you know, whatever. Peasum says, yo. But yeah, you can see that now, because I'm not as big a shitlord as I usually was. And now I actually have both windows up together and everything's working right. And I even got the audio proper on the first go. Hooray! But yeah, the shitlord meetup seemed kind of neat. But, you know, then people get kicked out, and then they steal your spotlight. That's really what the whole thing was, I think. Logan Paul just wanted to steal the spotlight from Poisoning the Well. And, that's the only way he could do it. Was to offer money to distract people. Throw the game off. Yeah, I decided to do this one at a different time, Peasum. So here we are. I was going to play some Grand Theft Auto, but this seemed like a lot more fun. Also, I really need to make more videos, because I don't want to end up like Dr. Randomer Cam and just make like one a year or something. Of course, I couldn't be him because I'd have to be British. Poisoning the Well says it's true. That fuck. Yeah, you know that's all it was. Logan Paul just couldn't stand anyone else having any attention at all and had to make everything about him. Alright, that's definitely gonna be our strategy next year. We're gonna hide money and we're gonna take the attention away from everyone else. Except we're broke, so it doesn't work as well. We have to let Logan Paul do it. Damn it. Money runs the world. Trump can fix this, right? He just wants to hear the tweens scream his name. Yeah, probably. It's the fake hair stuff. I think it does something when they change their hair color. It soaks into the roots and then they get brain damage. And when you start young, like Logan and them do, the brain damage kicks in fast. Hair color, kids. Not even once. In situations where people have large followings come to VidCon without any crowd control, it can become dangerous very quickly. You could say it's the most dangerous game. Speaking of which, that would be a great thing to see. A battle royale or most dangerous game where the idea is to try to take out other YouTubers with mobs of people. That would be a great comedy sketch for somebody to do. Somebody with more resources than me. That's for sure. here's how our current procedure works, etc., etc. They want them to stay out of public areas as much as they can because they don't want PewDiePie showing up and just having, like, half of VidCon, like, Rush's room or something. And then Peasum says, you know about the whole Anita Sargon thing? That's actually what the second half of this is going to be about. That's the part that kind of annoyed me. Was how VidCon decided to handle it. But I'm just going through the first portion as a formality. But there's nothing terribly bad here. This is pretty logical, pretty consistent. And if they do stuff they shouldn't, they want to get rid of them, and so on and so on. And here's how they're fixing those problems. They're talking with the creators. Hey, Poisoning the Well, did you get to talk to Hank Green? Probably not. Did they ask your opinion on it? They didn't ask mine, but then again, I have 100 subs, so I'm probably not going to VidCon for a while. We want to have a better system for quickly getting surprise creators to a place where they can safely meet and hang out with their fans. Come on, John and Hank. This is really simple. You just have a sign-in place where they have to go before they can go anywhere else. Like a ticket booth or something. You could have, like, part of the block done off. And Poisoning the Well says, no, they did not. Well, them bastards. And then they say creators who have repeatedly and intentionally caused mobs will essentially be arrested. So that's nice. Only a tiny number of the literally, I'm glad you signed up, give me a shot, hundreds of creators we invite have consistently and intentionally created mobs. Yeah, I know, but it's still amazing that people actually want to do that. I don't like people that much that I want a bunch of them around me all the time. I think I'd wear blackface just to make some of them go away, but then I'd get more shitlords. So I don't know. Maybe that would work. Maybe it wouldn't. I don't know if being famous would be the best thing for me. Usually when people make that much noise, I don't want to be around them. Especially if they're little teen girls and all that shit. Too much noise. Who is harassing whom? But no, why would you... Come on, John and Hank. You can write better than this. I mean, whatever. John and Hank, it's your website. You write it however you want. VidCon has a tagline. It's for people who love online videos. Well, that's a terrible tagline then, because it's not. It's for creators and their audience. If it were for people who love online videos, then you would also be inviting VidMe creators and, like, the streaming Fox News creators and stuff. Just be honest. The tagline should be, you're a YouTube creator, come to our convention and talk to people who aren't. I mean, that sounds more honest. Or it should be for people who love to create online videos. I mean, just saying. Most people love online videos. That's how memes work. But I'm not the needle drop, so what do I know? I am not the king of memes. But, of course, in addition to celebrating... Wait, you didn't say anything about celebrating. Say convention. John, you've been to plenty of them. You should know how this works. Or Hank, whichever one of you is ghostwriting this. Peasum says, pointing out hypocrisy is fine, but signing petitions for deplatforming, not the best idea. Exactly correct. Even if I don't like Anita, she has every right to be there. But she also has every right to deal with the fact that she's going to have an audience of whom some will disagree with her. That's like me. Look at my channel. If I go to VidCon as a creator and I get a panel and I'm talking about, like, my missing dimension stuff or the flat earth stuff or whatever, and there's flat earthers If Ken Ham himself and Steve Shives were both sitting there, I wouldn't single them out and say, you're garbage humans because somebody asked me a question. I would just answer the question and move on. Just because people give me a hard time doesn't mean they're harassing me, you know. That's my opinion, though. Everyone is open to their own, and apparently John and Hank think this is harassment. And we're going to see they're experts even though they're not in the rest of this. I didn't read quite the whole thing, but I read enough of it. It is openly known that women on the internet are subject to far greater amounts and intensity of harassment and abuse than men. Because men have never been forced off of the internet because of, you know, swatting or anything. You know, men don't get the same kind of harassment. And what do they mean, abuse? There are very few people that have been abused online in this capacity. Honestly. Yeah, you get the odd crazy person here and there. But for the most part, men and women have it about the same. Opinions as spicy as your fedora, says Peasum. Basically, yeah. But no, I don't think it's fair to just assert that women get far greater amounts and intensity of harassment and abuse. Like, Keemstar doesn't dox women that I'm aware of, for example. But he'll swat men. So I don't think it's fair at all to say that women get more harassment at all. I think, if anything, women are likely to get less because they're women. Like, if you look at Armored Skeptic and June, I don't think June gets more harassment just because she's a woman. Honestly. Like Lacey Green, I don't think she's getting more harassment than Milo. Honestly. I don't really like either of them, but honestly, they're both probably getting the same amount and intensity of harassment. They continue. This is a pattern, and it's pervasive. Yeah, it sucks that people have disagreements online, Hank Green. John Green. I'm going to pretend you're Hank, because this sounds more like Hank. And I like Hank and John Green generally, but this is garbage. We know there's harassment online. We know that people have disagreements. It's like that one video I did recently responding to Lacey. You know, it comes with part of the territory. If you're going to put yourself on a video, people are going to have disagreements with you. If you feel in danger for your life, you report it. Otherwise, you know, get on with the conversation. Don't be Steve Shives. Don't block people and pretend they're abusing you just because you want more views or you want a victim complex. And don't get me wrong, there is bad stuff out there, but these people are not the ones really experiencing it as far as they can put it into words. Running this event, we have to be aware when a creator has potentially dangerous harassers or stalkers, of which those people were neither. I don't think a single one of the people in that panel was dangerous or stalking her or any of the panel members. Honestly. I don't think Carl was saying, yeah, I really want to get Anita's digits, and if she doesn't, I'm going to hurt her. I don't think that was really the mindset there, Hank. And our list for our female creators is a whole lot longer than the list for male creators. Isn't this where the feminism people should be complaining about institutionalized misandry? They're pretending that things that are harmful to women are not as harmful to men? Is that what I'm hearing? Because I can't imagine any other reason to put that phrase in there. Why would your list be longer for one than the other? Like, if we look at the things that are potentially dangerous, harassing, or stalkerish, They're the same things whether you're a man or a woman. Things like death threats, or things like people hacking into your Facebook. You don't get more of those, I don't think, just because you're a woman. There may be a higher frequency of it for some women than there are for some men. But then again, there's also a higher frequency for some men than some women. I don't think there's a good reason to say, well, the list is longer because they're women. No, it's the same actions and they happen to everyone. Either they do or they don't. You can't have this double standard, I don't think. That's just one reason why we had a panel called Women Online. Because we all know that no women have ever functioned successfully online in areas of high conflict and drama without having a panel at VidCon that was all their own. Where's the Men Online panel for all the men who have to deal with exactly the same issues? I wonder. Featuring women who had received a variety of kinds of abuse. Abuse is a strange word to choose there. From repeated sexual advances online. If somebody sends you a dick pic, ladies, and you don't want it, just don't open it, I guess. Don't open email and text from people you don't know. Maybe just as a matter of internet security, online security. If someone says they want to do something to you, and you can't tell if they're serious or not, then treat it as though they're serious and take it to the proper authorities. I don't know, maybe. But for the most part, people online are trolls. But you're pretending that the trolls are not trolls when they troll women. Only when they troll men. But what do I know? I'm a man. I'm a shitlord. I mean, come on. There is a fairly prominent genre of social political commentary on the internet. Right, commentary. Not abuse. That focuses on specific individuals. Yeah, I focus a lot of mine on Ken Ham. Does that mean I'm abusing, stalking, or harassing him? No. He is presenting an argument, and I'm responding to it. Simple as that. As a path to attack ideas, that's right, ideas, not people, and build outrage. Hashtag kill all white men. Remind me how that is more threatening to women than men. And how men are not the victims of that. Hank Green. These creators do not violate harassment policies. Right. But the result is often that the vitriol of their followers, who are not them, I'm also your follower, Hank Green. Does that mean you are harassing Ken Ham by proxy of me? I mean, I was, actually. I don't think I'm subscribed to you now. But I still watch SciShow once in a while. So does that mean I'm trolling Ken Ham on your behalf? Or responding to him? Or Steve Shives? Am I abusing him on your behalf? If I disagree with Anita, but I follow you, am I doing that on your behalf, Hank? I don't think you understand. People have their own agency in general. Yeah, but let's go back to that sentence again. But the result is often that the vitriol of their followers ends up focused not on ideas, but on people. You mean like when Anita said, "You're a garbage human," and half of the audience clapped and applauded and, you know, was happy about that statement? Or is it only abuse when that happens to women, Hank? Is that why the list is shorter? Because you're just ignoring things? But on people, usually women. No, Hank, I'm calling you out right now. I hardly ever go after women when I'm talking about the ideas that people have. Yeah, I went after those couple girls. Actually, no, I'm about half and half. Huh, that still doesn't support you. because it's certainly not usually women when I'm concerned. And it's not with most of the creators I follow either. If you look at people like Sargon or Thunderfoot, or any of the other major skeptics like that, Logic, for example, they're mostly going after men because men mostly have the ideas they're going after. Not specifically, but they tend to be the ones presenting them. There are very few people going after women just because they're women. Hank. Many people in these communities end up believing the righteous thing to do is threaten, harass, and dox the thinkers. You mean like calling them garbage humans when they didn't even talk to you? They're arguing with. Like calling them shitheads, but they're not actually arguing with you. If you don't want to engage in debate, don't start a channel like Feminist Frequency and then get upset when people engage in dialogue with you about what you're creating. Would be my suggestion. If you don't want to be a public figure, don't be a public figure. If you don't want to deal with some degree of people disagreeing with you, then don't put yourself in a place to be disagreed with. Do the most vanilla thing you can imagine, or pick something that doesn't have any drama at all. Like, say, the Hydraulic Press channel. It's a great channel. Or BigClive.com. Another great channel. Absolutely no drama. Wonderful things to watch. And really nobody harasses them because they're not saying anything edgy. They're not getting into the fray. They're doing cool things that are completely beside this entire thing. The result is some of the worst discourse. You don't get to decide that. You do not get to tell people what kind of discourse is the worst kind of discourse. Hank. You are not the virtue signaling police. You're not allowed to tell people how to think and what kind of words are acceptable. You are at your convention. You're not allowed to do it for the greater YouTube. For the greater public domain. And most intense harassment on the internet. It's like Hank has never been to 4chan or something. If you think YouTube discussions are the most intense harassment on the internet, then boy, have I got some internet to show you. This year, we had a contingent of attendees. You had a lot of attendees, yes. Some who paid, some who snuck in with fake passes, or so you claim. Maybe they were, maybe they weren't, I don't know. Who had been either perpetrators of this harassment. No, the people who snuck in with fake passes were part of the first points you made. Not the second. And Peasum says, and I realize I've missed it by a few minutes now. That reminds me, has a woman ever gotten swatted? Statistically probable, but I don't know. I'm not sure. But I don't think any major ones have. Keemstar certainly hasn't suggested that anybody do it. And he's one of the main people that's kind of pushed people in that direction. I'm not saying he should, but I'm also not saying it's his fault. The people who watch him have their own agency. Even though I do not like him. I don't care for his style of channel and that sort of thing. But he can make whatever kind of content he wants. I just don't like him. I don't like drama. That's why I don't care for Drama Alert. Sometimes even Philip DeFranco is too dramatic for me and I just watch something else. Because I just don't have a high threshold for drama. Who had been either perpetrators of this harassment or had for years watched as the outrage they cultivated resulted in followers doxing, harassing, intimidating, and even threatening the lives of the creators on these panels. It's the internet. You're going to have that. If you believe your life is in jeopardy, report it. I don't know what else to tell you. saying to Hank Green, you feel threatened, when you have taken no action that would make us think that you actually feel threatened, doesn't strike me as, genuine. But maybe that's just me. It's like this other story here, where the, oh, I don't have it right up here. But there was on Vice, I think, an article where a woman talks about how she got raped, and then she didn't go to the doctor or to the police, even though she works in an abortion clinic, because she was trying to fuel the narrative that there's crazy people out there who don't like abortion clinics, and they'll rape you because they don't like abortion clinics. But instead of going and get the police report and the rape kit and everything just to show that it was real, she decided not to go to the cops. Can you understand why we might doubt some of the claims being made in the same way as we doubt them here, Hank? It is difficult to imagine that this group of people... I'm sure it's difficult for you to imagine lots of things, Hank, but that's not the question of whether or not something is okay or not. Don't do this to me, website. Who are aware that their channels have been base camps for years of harassment of some of our panelists. Conveniently, remember, they don't have time to give everyone a panel. So maybe they are selecting their own narrative. But I'm not here to make you think about that. We're talking about the bigger points in general. Did not realize that their arriving early to fill up the 3 front rows of a panel was going to be intimidating. Who cares? How can you have discourse? How can you have a debate if you will not allow the people of the opposing side to at least sit and listen to the arguments you expect them to address? I don't understand, Hank. Oh, sorry about that. But yeah, I don't understand, Hank. Would you rather nobody listen to these panelists that doesn't already agree with them when they're talking about these kind of things? What's the point of a Q&A if you don't actually want people there with differing opinions asking questions? Again, I don't understand your mentality, Hank. Do you think VidCon is supposed to be a giant safe space where anyone who disagrees with you should not be there? Because if that's the case, I probably won't go then. Because I clearly do not agree with you here. Again, VidCon seems really neat. But this thing right here doesn't. In any case, no, in this specific case, it looked like intentional intimidation. There were videos of it. Look them up. It was not intentional intimidation. The people in question didn't actually do anything. They sat and listened to a panel and were respectful, by all accounts, until someone singled them out and called them shitheads and garbage people. But, you know, I'm not the judge here. You are the audience. Go check out those videos. Put it in context. Maybe get other witnesses' statements. See what you think. I'm not here to pass judgment on that. I'm here to say this is why I disagree with it. To most people in attendance, no. To your panelists, maybe. Because they have a victim complex, maybe. Or maybe they're just paranoid. Or maybe they don't actually like discourse and they do want a safe space. In which case, maybe they shouldn't go to a convention with millions of people with different ideas about how things work. Maybe those kind of people should not host panels. Unless maybe you want this kind of indoctrination. I don't know, Hank. Talk to me. And the panelists were understandably on edge. Offenses given, not taken, throughout the discussion. Or wait, I said that backwards, but you get the idea. Offenses given is the new narrative, is what I was trying to say. Because offense is generally only something you can take. You can call me a cracker. You can call me a nigger. I don't care what you call me. It's not going to offend me. And if it does, that's not your problem. You see what I'm saying? During the panel, a panelist called out one of the audience members, who was, by all accounts, minding his own business, listening to the panel, for being someone who has made her life very difficult. No, Anita made her own life very difficult. Saying that Sargon has made Anita's life very difficult is exactly what Ken Ham has said about atheists. Atheists are the reason my boat won't take off. I didn't mean that pun, but you get the idea. Ken Ham blames atheists and secularists for his... I can't even talk today. Atheists and secularists for his low ticket sales and his inability to make money with the giant fucking boat that doesn't float. He acts like his problem is someone else's. And Anita is doing exactly the same thing. That's why we don't like it. Also, I apologize if my audio levels are a little off. I'm just trying to make everything work. Hooray. And wish she didn't have to give him attention. Well, she didn't have to. She could have ignored him just like she had done for the whole rest of the panel up to that point. Because he was a garbage human. Hank Green, you are a garbage human. Do you see how it doesn't matter if you don't take offense to it? Or if I'm not the one running the panel? I'm not in your VidCon. I didn't just violate the terms because I'm not there. I'm trying to demonstrate to you why this is a garbage argument. But you can't just single out a panel goer and just make fun of them just because other people happen to share similar opinions with them, Hank. But you don't understand this. Look, we don't want our panelists to insult our audience members. Yeah, that's right. If people are paying to come to your convention, and that's the general way your convention makes its money. That's a good point. You probably don't want that. Especially when you're generally, I mean, maybe not always, maybe the panelists pay you to be there. But if you're paying the panelist to be there, and again, I don't know how it works, if there's no money being exchanged and you're just providing the platform, you're still essentially collecting money from Sargon to put panelists, such as Anita, up on the stage. You see. And if you say what you're about to say here, then you sound like a not-so-great person, Hank. You sound like you're more concerned about the money than you are about your actual code of conduct, which is odd when you're writing a response about your actual code of conduct. Let's see. Look, we don't want our panelists to insult our audience members even when we completely understand that the comment exists in a much broader and pretty messed up context. You don't get to decide whether the context is messed up or not, Hank. You can't say, well, I think Sargon done this, so Anita was okay in doing what she done. If the roles were reversed, and Sargon had the panel, and Anita was just sitting in the audience minding her own business, and Sargon just singled Anita out, and said, Anita, you're just a wench and a cunt, would Sargon have still been allowed to stay in the convention? I wonder. Just think about that for a minute. Even when people have said hateful things, you're a garbage human, you're a shithead, that everyone in our office disagrees with. You mean, except for the things that Sargon allegedly said, which you think justify Anita saying them. We have a policy, and it exists, except when it doesn't, as we'll see. Not just to protect people at the show, but to protect our ability to have these conversations. Except the part where it's all pretty messed up that anybody disagrees with Anita. Right? How can you have better conversations? How can you protect your ability to have those conversations if you're going to say certain people shouldn't be allowed to speak, but other people can say whatever they want about those people? Hank. Again, VidCon sounds like a lot of fun, but it doesn't sound from this particular correspondence like a thing I want to go to. Our founder, Hank Green, talked with our panelist, but not with the guest who was actually offended, apparently, and said two things. He told her that her comment had violated our policy, the policy that's required to protect the ability to have the conversations. Pardon me, except when it isn't, I guess. But that he understood that there was a broader context. So what? Either it's allowed or it's not. Which, to be clear, we were blissfully ignorant of, which is why you definitely made a judgment call on it until this weekend and remain inexpert in. So you say you don't actually know anything about it, but you know the woman is right by default because she's your panelist. Hank, I thought you were a decent person, but you're sounding less and less like a decent person and more like someone who just doesn't want to lose the money they were making on it or something, or who thinks they have the moral high ground when they don't understand what morals, or in this case, ethics, are. But do continue, Hank. He apologized to her. Well, that's his problem. You should not have apologized to Anita. There was nothing for you to apologize to her for. Anita is the one who provoked the situation, by all accounts. And now you're apologizing to her for her poor action. Do you see why I don't trust you, Hank? For not having been more aware of and active in understanding the situation. There wasn't a situation. The whole panel was going peacefully, and there was peaceful discourse before the event, which resulted in her being subjected to a hostile environment. But Sargon, yeah, he didn't have a hostile environment at all, and the people he was there with. It's not as though the convention backed up Anita's bullying of these people in the panel who were viewing it. It's alright, Anita, you made fun of these people in the audience. But we're not going to do anything about it because we don't want to create a hostile environment unless it's against those shitlords over there that she had not signed up for. Did Sargon sign up for this kind of treatment? I don't understand. You're saying Sargon knew walking through the door that Anita might say bad words to him. But if he so much goes in the same room as Anita, that's a hostile environment. You seem very, very, very disingenuous, Hank or John Green. We agreed, you and your brother, I presume, that she would go forward and continue on as a panelist on a later panel. So what you're saying is you just said that it's okay for a panelist to basically talk however they feel like to someone they might disagree with, regardless of your grasp on the situation and regardless of your own policies. You are the problem, Hank Green and John Green, or whoever wrote this and whoever decided that was good action. If you'll kick out the people for violating the policy on false badges and creating the unsafe environments for patrons because famous people want to walk in public areas, but you don't want to keep those same patrons safe once they actually enter a panel, then you're the problem with the convention, and you should give it to someone else. Now again, Poisoning the Well says it was a great convention. And I believe him. Them. Because it could be either of you. But at the same time, I read this, and it makes me never want to go to a panel, and never be anywhere that is not distinctly a public space. Because the powers that be may decide that I, as a panel viewer, am not worth as much as the person on the stage. Especially if the person on the stage is a woman and I'm not. And especially if the woman on the stage says she feels oppressed. Because as a man, I can't be oppressed, right, Hank Green? This is a difficult situation to build policy to alleviate. No, it isn't. Kick out Anita for doing that. And then say that people who disagree with each other can't be in the same room. Define that as threatening, and then you can alleviate it very quickly. But you don't actually want to do that because this is the kind of place you want people to go and interact, even if they don't agree with one another. This is the kind of place where you want all different ideas to come together. You don't want to say one person's ideals are superior to another person's ideals just because they disagree, and you, the powers that be, side with one of them instead of the other. That's not a good position to put yourself in, because you're just going to drive off people like me and others who might enjoy engaging with Sargon, but also enjoy engaging with the other side. If you want a giant safe space, you're not going to get it. Or you're going to have it and no one's going to come see you except for the people that agree with you. I don't particularly want a safe space. Yes, I don't want physical violence like people shooting me. But if people disagree with me, that's fine. I don't need that kind of safe space. If my ideas can't stand on their own, then they don't need to stand. But we ask that all the people involved consider the power of our actions and statements. Oh, I certainly am. And I hope everyone else is too. Both online and in the real world. While your stance is, if you agree with someone, they can't be a harasser. And you will stand behind them as they harass others. You are not the authoritarian figures we want. Sorry, my throat's bugging me today. But one specific note. If people attend VidCon to collect footage to later use in videos that criticize not just ideas, but focus the outrage of their followers on individuals, because Anita wasn't doing that. Anita wasn't focusing your outrage on a particular individual, using the entire convention to do it. Was she? They will not be welcome back. I'm glad to hear you're not letting Anita come back then. For using her station as having actual cameras funded by you to focus outrage on a guy who was in a panel. They're allowed to have cameras unless you ban them. But now you've just taken your cameras and focused on Sargon without even mentioning his name. And you've just tried to use your entire convention and your entire status as a YouTuber and as a public figure who's worked with people like Bill Gates, or your brother has, whichever one of you has written this. And you've decided to focus all of that on one individual creator. So are you also not going back to your own convention, John or Hank, or both of you? Yeah, again, sorry, my throat is really dry tonight. I've tried drinking stuff, but it's just not working. Apparently I need the liquor. Well, both of these issues have driven home know one of these issues. The other one you still don't understand. For the VidCon team, is that people are often bad at understanding their own power. Really? You don't say. If you were lacking any more self-awareness right now, I'd swear that you were not you. I don't think you understand your own power in writing these words and posting them for the entire creator community to read. You're literally just done with one article, which you complained about most other people who disagree with you doing. You are not the thought police, and I will not treat you as such. We all imagine ourselves to be simply people. That's all I am, man. That's all we are. We're people. We have our own agency. We are these beings that exist and watch others and create videos and stuff. But we are still simply people. We're humans. Quit trying to dehumanize some of us or raise others of us up. We are all just simply people. Anita's a person and Sargon's a person. I can understand this. You cannot, Hank or John. Just another human among the billions with one tiny voice. Yeah, don't downplay it though, man. Some of us have 1 million subscribers. Or 10 million. And some of them have 112 like I do. Some of us are really tiny voices. Others of us, every person in half of the world knows. Like you. But trolling, whatever that is, if you don't understand trolling, you do not belong on the internet in the position of authority that you have, Mr. Green. If you do not understand trolling, then Boxy had you beat when she was 14. I mean, come on. Trolling, whatever that is, chauvinist, really does drive people from our platforms. They're not your platforms. The only platform that is yours is VidCon. And the DFTBA website and so on. YouTube is the platform. It's not yours, it's not mine, it's not ours. It's everyone's, or it should be. And for the most part, the people that are banned from either really shouldn't be. But that's just my opinion. Eve Kaninen, Evalian, Onision, they all have a right to say all the shitty things they say. I don't have to agree with them. They can even call me a disingenuous piece of shit. I don't care. We don't have to agree with one another. We can be mean to one another in our words. We can attack one another. I don't like doing that. I'd rather attack the ideas those people have. That part is not assault. Is not abuse. Is not harassment. Ideas are not people. Now, if I were threatening certain individuals by literally saying, do this thing, this is how you do it, and that's the end of it, then there's a claim to be made. But if I say your ideas are stupid, that's not harassment. I have ideas and you can call them stupid. That's also not harassment. A simple stroll through a hotel lobby really can endanger people's safety. Right, most people aren't disagreeing with you. And you don't need to keep conflating both of these as exactly the same thing. That's not trolling. That's something entirely different, and you know this. You run SciShow and a bunch of other shows that deal with logic and psychology. You already know the problems you're creating by conflating these two issues. I'm not going to dwell on it anymore. These days, success can happen fast. No. Your subscriber count can go up really fast. That isn't what makes you successful. Being successful is doing something you like and getting better at it, and then maybe making money at it. And yeah, some people are on here for money and whatever. But if you judge success only by how quickly you gain subscribers, then your success may also deflate very quickly when you lose most of them. PewDiePie, for example, is not successful because he has the most subscribers. He is successful because he gets out and does it every day and keeps trying. The only people that are failures are the ones that give up and say, this is how it is and you have to do it my way, and otherwise, no, no, no. You have too much control, you see. You're a control freak, and you're not successful unless you're controlling people. And you have no control here, so you're not very successful. If I'm using that metric. I think you can see where I'm going here. And creators might not yet have understood or accepted the responsibility their influence brings. Again, Hank, do you understand, John, the responsibility your influence brings when you say Anita is okay to do what she done? But Sargon isn't okay to do, like, attending a panel? But it's fine to make fun of people who attend panels. But it's not fine to attend panels. You had a responsibility here, Mr. Green. And you decided that's how you were going to use it. Do you consider that successful? I don't think so. Maybe that is especially true when creators have built a fan base with a kind of inflammatory rhetoric. You're the one who didn't kick someone out for singling someone else out. And then you allowed them to spew that inflammatory rhetoric. I don't understand what your problem is. It's okay if one person does it, but not if another person does it. And audience development strategies that can potentially turn their followers into more than just trolls. Yeah, the word is potentially. But they're still not the ones doing it. Sorry, I don't agree with you. We are all watching as those techniques wear at the fabric of not just the internet culture, but our whole world. Which really does beg the question, why did you let Logan Paul there in the first place? Why did you not just call the cops on him? If you knew that he does this inflammatory stuff regularly, or I don't know, was Fousey there? He does kind of the same thing. Tariq Nasheed was there, wasn't he? No? Or no, he didn't go. Or he lied about it or something. I don't remember. But yeah, why do you allow all these potentially inflammatory people to show up at your convention if you actually mean what you just said? I don't know. Maybe the whole idea is you have to give up your ethics before you can make a lot of money. And then go with whatever ethics happen to be paying the best at the current year. Nah, I'm sure Hank Green has better ethics than that. I hope. John. Whichever one of you is behind this doesn't actually say, oh well. We hope that one of the many lessons learned, you didn't learn anything. At VidCon 2017, yep, that was a thing, will be, those are words, that it is very difficult. You're only making it more difficult than it needs to be. To correctly imagine, don't police my thoughts. Do not tell me how to imagine correctly. Do not tell me how to think. You're as bad as the old fucking advertisements for Apple. Think differently. The power you can have over other people. Right back at you. And maybe we don't include me with you, because I've already learned this lesson. A lesson that you still have to learn. We'll all work harder, except you give a pass to your panelist because reasons and feels, to understand that in the future. Well, I hope so, because past you didn't do very well at it. But anyway, that's pretty much the end of that article. That's mostly all I wanted to say today. And thanks for tuning in. I'm really glad to have the two of you here. It was a lot of fun. We had so much fun. We had more fun than... Well, it would have been more fun to go to VidCon still, even with all that crap. But you get the idea. So again, thanks for tuning in. And as always, this has been Reverend JR. Reminding you to subscribe if you haven't already. Click the like button or click the dislike button. I don't care. You can dislike me. That's not abuse. It's not harassment. Maybe click the thumbs down for this video if you liked it. Just to show them you don't care about harassment. And I'm signing off. Catch y'all next time.